Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Steve Jobs, Tiger Woods, Harvey Weinstein, what do they all have in common? They reached the top, and then something invisible destroyed everything they built. Solomon saw this pattern 3,000 years ago, and today I'm going to show you the hidden force that's probably sabotaging your success right now. There's a secret pattern that destroys successful people, and Solomon was the first to document it. But here's what's shocking. This pattern isn't random, it's predictable, it's systematic, and it's happening to someone you know right now. Look at any major downfall in the last decade. The politician caught in scandal at the height of power, the CEO who made the decision that killed their company, the influencer who posted the tweet that ended their career, the athlete who had everything and threw it away. The world calls it bad luck or poor judgment, but Solomon knew better. He identified the invisible force that turns success into self-destruction: pride. But here's where it gets interesting, and why most people miss this completely. The pride Solomon is talking about isn't what you think. It's not arrogance or bragging. It's something much more subtle and infinitely more dangerous. Modern psychology calls it the success paradox. The very qualities that make you successful, confidence, decisiveness, risk-taking, gradually transform into the qualities that destroy you: overconfidence, recklessness, and isolation from feedback. Solomon saw this in his own life. He was the richest, wisest, most powerful man of his time. He had 700 wives, built the temple, had nations seeking his wisdom, and yet his own pride led to decisions that split his kingdom after his death. But here's what Solomon discovered that could save your entire future. Solomon teaches us that pride isn't just a character flaw, it's an addiction. And like all addictions, it requires increasing doses to satisfy. At first, a little recognition feels good. Then you need more praise, more success, more validation. Soon, you're not making decisions based on wisdom. You're making them based on what will feed your pride. This is why successful people make inexplicably stupid decisions. It's not that they suddenly became dumb. It's that they became addicted to the drug of their own importance. Think about your own life. Have you ever made a decision that looked good for your image but was bad for your actual goals? Have you ever chosen the path that made you look smart instead of the path that was actually wise? Have you ever avoided asking for help because you wanted to figure it out yourself? These are early symptoms of pride addiction, and if you don't catch them early, they grow into something that can destroy everything you've built. Here's the terrifying part. You can't see this happening to yourself. Pride blinds you to pride. The more successful you become, the less capable you are of recognizing your own pride problem. Solomon knew this. That's why he wrote, "Pride goes before destruction." Not during, not after, before. It's a warning system. But Solomon left us a code to break this pattern before it breaks us. Solomon reveals something revolutionary. There's a way to become immune to the pride virus, but it requires doing something that every successful person resists. The secret is what Solomon called the fear of the Lord. But before you tune out thinking this is religious talk, let me translate what this actually means in practical terms. Fear of the Lord means maintaining awareness that you're not God, that there are forces bigger than you, that your success isn't entirely your own doing, that you can lose everything tomorrow. This isn't about being religious, it's about being realistic, and this realism is what creates immunity to pride. Look at Warren Buffett. At 93, worth over $100 billion, he still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He still drives himself. He still admits his mistakes publicly. Why? Because he's immune to the pride virus. Or consider Oprah. She's worth $2.8 billion, but she constantly talks about gratitude, about forces beyond herself, about staying grounded. She's built immunity. The immunity system works like this. The moment you start believing your own hype, you activate what Solomon calls haughty spirit. But if you maintain awareness of your limitations, your dependencies, your mortality, you stay humble. And humility is pride's kryptonite. Here's the practical application. Every success should trigger gratitude, not pride. Every achievement should remind you of what you don't control, not what you do control. But there's a specific exercise Solomon used that modern neuroscience proves actually rewires your brain. Solomon had a daily practice that kept him grounded even at the height of his power. Modern neuroscience now proves why this exercise literally rewires your brain to resist pride. Every morning, Solomon would remind himself of three things: what he didn't know, what he couldn't control, and what he might lose. This wasn't pessimism, it was precision. It kept his perspective accurate. Neuroscientist Dr. Rick Hansen explains that success creates what he calls positive neuroplasticity bias. Your brain starts overweighting your contributions and underweighting external factors. The Solomon exercise reverses this bias. Here's how to do it. Every morning, before checking your phone, before starting your day, ask yourself three questions. What don't I know that could change everything today? What's outside my control that I'm depending on? Or what could I lose if I'm not careful? This isn't worry, it's wisdom. You're not focusing on problems, you're maintaining perspective. When you think about your biggest current success or achievement, can you honestly acknowledge the factors beyond your control that contributed to it? The timing you didn't create, the people who helped without being asked, the opportunities that came your way through no effort of your own. The Solomon exercise doesn't make you less confident. It makes your confidence more accurate, and accurate confidence is unshakable, while false confidence is fragile. But here comes the part that will blow your mind about what pride actually costs you. Solomon discovered that pride doesn't just cause dramatic failures, it charges you a hidden tax on everything you do. And most people are paying this tax their entire lives without realizing it. The pride tax shows up in three ways: isolation, blind spots, and resistance to growth. First, isolation. As your pride grows, you unconsciously push away people who might challenge you. You surround yourself with yes men and flatterers. You stop getting honest feedback. This isolation makes every decision riskier because you're operating with incomplete information. Second, blind spots. Pride makes you overestimate your strengths and ignore your weaknesses. You stop learning because you think you already know. You miss opportunities because they don't fit your self-image. You make mistakes because you can't see what you can't see. Third, resistance to growth. When you're proud, criticism feels like attack. Correction feels like disrespect. Learning feels like admission of inadequacy. So you stop growing. And in business, in relationships, in life, if you're not growing, you're dying. Think about the most successful person you know personally. Do they still ask for advice? Do they admit when they're wrong? Do they celebrate other people's success without making it about themselves? Or have they become isolated, defensive, and resistant to input? The pride tax isn't just about big failures. It's about all the success you never achieve, because pride limits your growth. But Solomon found the antidote, and it's simpler than you think. Here's what Solomon discovered that changes everything. Humility isn't weakness, it's a competitive advantage. And the most successful people in history understood this secret. Humility gives you three superpowers that proud people can never access. Superpower number 1, unlimited learning. When you're humble, every person is a potential teacher. Every situation is a classroom. Every mistake is data. You grow exponentially because you're not protecting your ego. You're expanding your capabilities. Superpower number 2, magnetic leadership. People are drawn to humble confidence because it's safe. They can bring you their real problems, their honest feedback, their best ideas without fear of triggering your ego. This makes you infinitely more effective as a leader. Superpower number 3, Anti-fragile resilience. When setbacks come, and they always do, humble people adapt quickly because they're not attached to being right. They're attached to finding what works. Look at Tim Cook. He took over from Steve Jobs, arguably the most iconic CEO in history. Instead of trying to be Steve Jobs 2.0, he humbly embraced being Tim Cook 1.0. Result? Apple's value increased from $350 billion to over $3 trillion under his leadership. The humility advantage isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. It frees up mental energy to focus on results instead of image, solutions instead of status, growth instead of ego protection. Now let me show you how to install this advantage in your daily life. Solomon didn't just identify the problem. He created a system to solve it. Here's the exact code he used to maintain humility at the height of power, translated for your modern life. The code has 4 parts: perspective, people, practices, and protection. Perspective, daily reminder of your place in the bigger picture. Solomon looked at the stars, considered eternity, remembered his mortality. You can do this by studying history, contemplating the universe, remembering that in 100 years, everyone alive today will be dead. People. Intentionally maintaining relationships with people who knew you before you were successful. Solomon stayed connected to his roots. You need friends who remember when you struggled, family who sees you as human, mentors who can speak truth to your power. Practices, daily habits that keep you grounded. Solomon prayed, studied wisdom, served others. You might journal gratitudes, practice meditation, volunteer with people less fortunate. The key is consistency. Protection, systems that prevent pride from taking root. Solomon had advisors who could challenge him, at least early in his reign. You need accountability partners, feedback systems, regular self-assessments. Here's a practical weekly schedule. Monday, perspective. Study something bigger than your industry. Tuesday, people. Connect with someone from your past. Wednesday, practice. Do something that serves others. Thursday, protection. Ask someone for honest feedback. Friday, review. What did I learn this week? This isn't about becoming a monk. It's about becoming anti-fragile, building immunity to the pride virus before it infects your success. But there's one more thing Solomon teaches that most people completely miss. Here's Solomon's most advanced teaching. Humility doesn't just prevent destruction, it actually compounds your success. The humble get more successful faster than the proud, and their success lasts longer. This happens through what I call the humility compound effect. Every humble choice creates multiple returns. When you admit you don't know something, people want to help you learn. When you give credit to others, they want to help you win. When you acknowledge your mistakes, people trust you more. When you stay curious, you spot opportunities others miss. Ray Dalio built Bridgewater, the world's largest hedge fund, on radical transparency, a culture where everyone, including Dalio, gets honest feedback about their mistakes. This humility-based culture has generated more alpha than any hedge fund in history. Satya Nadella transformed Microsoft by replacing the know-it-all culture with a learn-it-all culture. Under his humble leadership, Microsoft's value increased from $300 billion to over $3 trillion. The compound effect works because humility creates trust, and trust is the ultimate business accelerant. People do business with those they trust. They invest in those they trust. They follow those they trust. Pride might give you short-term wins, but humility gives you long-term dynasties. Now here's how to activate this compound effect in your life starting today. Solomon left us a specific sequence to activate the humility advantage. This isn't theory. This is the exact process he used to become the wisest, wealthiest, most influential person of his era. Step 1, the recognition. Acknowledge that pride is already operating in your life. You can't defeat an enemy you don't recognize. Look for the signs. Do you interrupt people? Do you need to be right? Do you get defensive when challenged? Do you take credit but deflect blame? Step 2, the decision. Make a conscious choice to value growth over ego protection. This is harder than it sounds because it requires admitting that being successful doesn't make you superior. It makes you responsible. Step 3, the implementation. Start with small acts of humility. Ask someone's opinion on something you're confident about. Admit a mistake publicly. Give credit to someone who helped you. Thank someone who challenged you. Step 4, the observation. Watch what happens. Notice how people respond differently. Notice how you learn faster. Notice how opportunities increase. This positive feedback will motivate you to go deeper. Step 5, the integration. Make humility your default setting. Not false humility or self-deprecation, but accurate assessment of your abilities, limitations, and dependencies. Here's what this looks like practically. In meetings, ask, "What am I missing?" instead of, "Here's what we should do." In conflict, ask, "What can I learn from this?" instead of, "How can I win this?" In success, ask, "Who helped make this possible?" instead of, "Aren't I amazing?" In failure, ask, "What does this teach me?" instead of, "Who's to blame?" The activation sequence transforms you from someone who fears being wrong into someone who profits from being corrected. But here's the final piece that makes this unshakable. Solomon's final teaching is this: true humility isn't a technique, it's a covenant with truth. And when you make this covenant, you tap into a power that transcends human wisdom. The Solomon covenant has 3 parts. Part 1, I will tell myself the truth. No more self-deception, no more inflated self-assessment, no more denial of reality. You commit to seeing yourself accurately, strengths and weaknesses, successes and failures, potential and limitations. Part 2, I will seek truth from others. You actively invite feedback, ask for correction, surround yourself with people who will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Part 3, I will submit to ultimate truth. You acknowledge that there are principles, laws, and realities bigger than your opinion. You align your life with these truths rather than trying to bend truth to fit your preferences. When you make this covenant, something supernatural happens. You tap into what Solomon called the fear of the Lord, not terror, but reverent awareness of forces beyond yourself. This awareness becomes your superpower. You make better decisions because you're operating with accurate information. You build better relationships because people trust your authenticity. You create better results because you're aligned with reality rather than fantasy. This is why Solomon could write, "Pride goes before destruction, but humility comes before honor." It's not a suggestion, it's a law as reliable as gravity. Your choice today is simple but not easy. Will you let pride destroy your future success, or will you let humility compound it? If you're ready to break the pattern that destroys successful people, if you're ready to activate the humility advantage, if you're ready to make the Solomon covenant, comment, "Teach me humility" below. Remember Solomon's warning, pride goes before destruction. You can't see it coming when you're in it, but you can prevent it by choosing humility before pride chooses destruction for you. The pattern is predictable, the antidote is available, the choice is yours.